Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Fun little pickups again in this video, and I just received an email from the postal office, so I'm now going to pick up my package. I'll see you after the bumper.
Consider subscribing if you already haven't and hit the bell button to get notified when I upload a new video.
Good stuff, good stuff. Yes, this is a package full of Game Gear games. The reason that I bought these ones is because they looked really good. And for example, the label of Woody Pop, I saw it on fairs, etc. But it's not faded. This is one of the labels that I saw that is so faded so many times. That's why I wanted to have this. And this one is maybe a funny one because this is already the third one I ordered, and I hope this time it's the Castle Evolution that this game will work. But of course, first the necessary cleaning job. Okay, now let's talk games. Yeah, I picked up a nice batch of Game Gear games. This because I want to complete my Game Gear collection. I want to have a complete non-inbox Game Gear collection eventually. There are about 300 games, and I still have just a small portion of that. The first one, Tasmania. Yeah, Tasmania is a... yeah, sorry. On the Game Gear, it's a bad game. It was already a bad game on the Mega Drive, but yeah, I thought it was a platformer, but really weird. You have to walk into a tunnel with a brick that is coming after you, and after a couple of seconds, you get hit by that brick. And I don't really know how to avoid it. Really weird. The music is very bad. No, not a good game. That's it. Then Donald Duck, the Lucky Dime Caper. I already had this for the Master System. The Game Gear version is somewhat watered down in the way that is somewhat easier. For example, when you first get hit, you can't use the hammer anymore, and you have only 2 times you get hit and then you're dead. And in the Game Gear version you can get more times hit because you can pick up stars that add to your possible power level. The Lucky Dime Caper, not an easy game, still not an easy game on the Game Gear, but a lot easier on the Game Gear. Yeah, pretty fun game, but pretty difficult as well. Wonderboy, a classic for the Game Gear. Yeah, I don't find it a really superb game, and I know I'm gonna offend people by saying this. It's not just, yeah, it's a sort of platformer game, but it's so graphic-wise not intense. It's not really good. Sorry. Then Solitaire Poker, yeah. Okay. It's poker. That's it. Crystal Warriors for the Game Gear. Crystal Warriors. It's a RPG, and RPGs are not my kind of games. Let's leave it at that. Spiderman, and the Return of the Sinister 6. Yeah, they switched around the fire button and the jump button. Always the jump button is the most right button on the Game Gear. Not in this game, it's the first button. Spider-Man moves really quick. That's what I like about it. But the mechanics of punching an enemy, and you can make difference between what's the background, what's the foreground. Sometimes you can walk through things and sometimes you think it's a background and it's on the foreground and you can't walk through it. What I like about it is that you can climb up walls. The perspective, the proportions of Spider-Man are really out of proportions. Really weird. Graphics wise, it's not that intense or superb. Next up is Outrun. Yeah, we have really much kind of these kinds of racing games. They pretend it's 3D, but it's not 3D. It's an esoteric. Is it esoteric? But it's a kind of 3D view. Yeah, it's a conversion of the arcade classic. I don't really like these kinds of racing games. Crash Test Dummies. Yeah, I played it and I like the and I saw someone do it on YouTube, but I can't figure out what to do. You have to jump off a building. That's the first level. Jump off a building and land on a spot. But when I do that, he says that I failed. And I try to go as fast as possible, as slow as possible, but I don't know exactly what the intention is. I saw someone do it on YouTube and hitting the balconies in between. Maybe that's what you have to do. I can't figure that out yet. I have to still really quietly sit down for this to test it. Crash Test Dummies for the Game Gear. And then Slider. Slider is a kind of puzzle game. You have to clear the board, and you have make every. I think it's red on the top of my head. The blue squares. You have to walk over those blue squares and make them red, so you have cleared the whole level. In theory, that is pretty simple, and the first level is somewhat simple, but level 2 is much more difficult, which you have to do because there are also ghosts walking around. You can't hit that ghost. Sometimes when you walk over tiles, you vanish into the background and then you're dead. Yeah, fun game. It's a fun little game, but as a kid I would have really been mad if I paid 120 guilders for that. For 5 years that I paid for this game, it's okay. Then somewhat a puzzle game, 2 Woody Pop. I saw it at a earlier advert. The problem with that one was that the label was so faded that I don't want to have it in that condition in my collection. Woody Pop is a yeah, I don't know what kind of game. It's not a puzzle game, but you have to bounce a ball off 2 blocks and then those blocks disappear. That is the whole entourage of the game. And it gets more difficult, and objects flying towards you. That makes it somewhat difficult. When you look at these at this label, then you would think, well, Woody Pop, it seems to be like a toy, like a platformer game, but it's totally not. It's totally not. It's that bouncing ball and the bricks. Then we have Leaderboard Golf. Yeah, it's one of those really infamous sports game, really bad sports games for that I've made. Well, there are so many made. I don't want to talk about it any more than Shinobi. Yeah, of course, Shinobi. Shinobi is a classic. I like this one. It's not really easy. And some things like jumping on a hook of a crane was somewhat difficult. Yeah, it's a challenging game. It's a platformer, but it's a total classic for not only the Game Gear, the Mega Drive also. And then, not the last one, but the last one in this row, then Devilish. Devilish is a game that is somewhat of a puzzle game. It's somewhat of Woody Pop in that kind of style of game. You have a bouncing bracket and you have to bounce the ball against bricks. but this one has just one bouncing area, bouncing block that the ball can bounce on. This one has two, and you can configure them in different ways, so they are on top of each other, and how much space is there in between. You can do it sideways, so there is much more of a flow in the game than this kind. This is pretty simple. This is that same principle, but taking it a step further. This is somewhat more fun to play, but as a kid I would have been very angry if I paid 120 euros guilders for that. Then the game with a story, Mickey Mouse, The Castle of Illusion. It's the third game in a row that doesn't work. And I tried to search on the internet if there is something wrong with the game, if some more people have problems with this game. The problem is that it doesn't display at all, and I had a version that flickers the screen. So I'm not really sure, and I'm guessing that that is a capacitor problem, because I saw some reading stuff. I read some stuff about that problem with the capacitors. If the Game Gear is in the Master System mode, that is a special mode that is on the Game Gear. The Game Gear has more colors than the Master System, but a lower resolution. But there is a compatibility mode for Master System games. And the story is that also my Master System converter for the Game Gear doesn't work. And that story, in combination with the flickering of the screen, maybe this is the problem too. Because my last game, Olympic Gold, doesn't work either. It works, but it flickers the screen. This one doesn't work at all. And now, yeah, 2-3 times in a row for this game that doesn't work. It isn't a coincidence anymore. So what I decided, I still have a broken Game Gear here that I bought to fix it myself for just a couple of euros, and now I'm thinking of letting someone else do it, because time I have to figure out, and soldering, etc. I have to have the good electronics for that, and I need. So I thought, well, maybe I can send it to someone to fix it. Maybe then this game will work, and this game will work properly. But we're not done yet. I have more pickups. And I picked up for the GameCube, that's the Nintendo console, I picked up Viewtiful Joe. And I'm not really diehard into GameCube collecting that I am in with Game Gear. But a while ago I purchased Ikaruga, and the person that sold it to me has this game lying around. I looked up the footage, that looked really fun. So it was on my list, and the same seller contacted me. Are you still interested in the game? Yes, I am, but I need to know that it is in good condition, and it is in mint condition. And I'm really happy with that. The game is pretty fun to play, and what I like about the game, just like Ikaruga, this is a Capcom game, by the way. The Ikaruga game is a famous treasure. Game. Viewtiful Joe is a game that is a brawler. You are a boy that is my girlfriend is kidnapped by someone from the movies. The boy is at the movies with his girlfriend, and that girlfriend gets kidnapped from someone from the movie. Well, it's really far-fetched, but now he wears his superhero costume to find her. It's a challenging game, really challenging, but I like the visual style of the game. And that's what I also like about Ikaruga. The visual style, the graphics have aged very, very good. It's not a realistic, but you don't have to. If the graphics are great, it doesn't have to be super realistic. This isn't realistic at all. You can jump and stay in the air and do punches, kicks. What fun about the game is that you can slow down time, so you can punch the enemies, and some enemies you have to punch only in slow down mode. That makes it challenging, because every time you get killed, then, well, you have 3 lives or so. If you're running through to that lives, you have to play the whole level again. It's challenging because you have to every time go to the same level. It's somewhat little puzzle elements, but overall I like the game, but it's tough. It's really tough. And then the highlight of this pickup video. I got a call, no, a message, a text message from a girl, Jane, that I recently went to the gaming expo with. And I gave her a list of the games that I wanted. And she texted me that she was at a gaming store and she saw lying around this game. Do I still want to have it? And I needed to think about it, because it wasn't $5, but I got it. And I'm pretty happy with it, because I searched for it a long time. And it's not European, but that makes it somewhat more rare too. It's a rare game. And it's a really famous game, but not for the Game Gear. It's a really famous game for the Mega Drive. Which game am I talking about? I am talking about Gunstar Heroes for the Game Gear. Gunstar Heroes is a translation of the Mega Drive game, and from the things I've seen of it, I've played the emulator version too. It's difficult. That has not changed. What the biggest difference is really in gameplay that I noticed is that we're missing the last level. I don't know if it's following up the previous levels, maybe, I don't know. I haven't gained that far, but enemies are really into hugging, and they really hold you tight every time, and the Mega Drive version doesn't do that. But if you know the Mega Drive version, you can really play quickly through the Game Gear version. Well, quickly, it's still difficult, but you know how the levels about are. Not exactly a one-on-one copy, but they did that really, really well. The only thing that I noticed is that they had some problems with too many sprites on the screen, and that makes some of the sprites flicker, and that is not, yeah, for a treasure game. That's not that I used of the treasure games. Europe doesn't have a release for that, and I think the USA doesn't have either. This is a Japanese import, but the Game Gear is region free, so I hadn't a problem with playing this. Although it's out of the scope, because I want to go for the PAL complete set for the Game Gear. I really like to have this in my collection. One of the games I'm still searching for is Ristar for the Game Gear. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you're a little bit happy for me that I found the game that I was looking for quite some while. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you already haven't, and hit the bell button to stay updated. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!